Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2 and I'm back again with another book review. Recently I read Mitch Albom's For One More Day, which is basically about a man named Chick who regrets not doing more for his mother like he felt he should, and never really knowing who his father really was. Well, his father actually kind of leaves the scenery. Um, and a lot of people can probably relate to this fact in life. And it's either the mother, something doesn't go well with the relationship, something goes wrong, and it just starts to fall apart. And a lot of people go through that. And fortunately, I could say I can't really relate to that because my mom and my dad, not only did they have me when they were older, but the relationship was the most trust-based relationship I have ever seen, for one thing. Oh, for another thing, they hardly ever argued. They hardly ever raised their voices at one another, and they got along like old friends, and they had this camaraderie that is really quite rare. I think it's just extremely unique and elusive in a lot of relationships. And um, we're all very open in my family. We don't keep things hidden from each other. uh, we're honest and forthright, so I think that's what kept our relationship grounded so well. All families are dysfunctional, and this For One More Day shows the height of dysfunction. Um, and Chick takes it out on his mom, and there are chapters entitled "Times I Stood Up for My Mom," "Times I Didn't Stand Up for My Mom," um, "Times My Mother Stood Up for Me," and the different periods of time in his life. One's called day, one's called noon, one's called night, and of course you can understand allegorically and symbolically what that stands for. Just the way that Mitch writes is very vivid and depictive of a struggle and coming to terms and repentance, I think. And it's just really quite just a beautiful book and very quick read. I finished this in one day. It's just one sitting for me, so it really wasn't that much of a challenge. But I really do enjoy Mitch's books, and I highly recommend it for anybody who's looking for a good read and understanding the psychology of a child who's gone through that, and what can really bring somebody to consider an act such as suicide. And I know a lot of people say, no, suicide's cowardly. Actually, suicide's selfish. Has I can say this from experience because um, there was a time when I nearly went through hanging myself, and that was when I had a job with a jewelry company, and it was absolute hell on earth. My boss was a real bitch, excuse me. She was really jealous of me because I had a bachelor's degree and she had a live-in boyfriend, and I was still a virgin. I'm still a virgin, of course. Um, that hasn't changed. Um, I think she was jealous of me because of those things, and that my vocabulary was sizably larger than hers, as well as my intellect. And, well, of course, I didn't lord that over on her, but I think she felt like I had a superiority complex, and she had an inferiority complex. I knew she did. And she just treated me like dirt. And at the time, I wasn't really used to being in business, and I didn't sleep well the night before, and there was a young black man who was working in the in the jewelry shop, and I got paid on commission. And being a rock hound, you would probably consider that this would be the job of any rock hound's dreams, let alone uh, somebody like me who loves jewelry. Um, it wasn't. It was an absolute inferno. Anyway, going back to the black man incident, I should have said, please come over here and help me, but I like, I did that, and I thought, oh dear God, what did I do that for? Because I was not thinking straight, and that was interpreted very wrongly, and yeah, I got slapped pretty hard for that. Well, verbally slapped, and I hadn't slept well the night before that, and after that, and I thought, she's gonna fire me. She's gonna fire me. She was gonna let me go, and I wasn't thinking well that night, and I wanted to kill myself. I just didn't see any point in going forward, and long story short, since I wasn't thinking straight, that particular day I was actually taken to a facility, a stress facility, aka asylum. Let me tell you, that was an interesting experience. I had one day in an asylum. And the thing with that is, it's not for sane people. I can tell you that much. They had one video on the TV. It was Shaft. They had books on the table that were from the 1970s. They still had VHS tapes. They had no, they didn't have any CDs. They just had cassettes, very old cassettes. There were guys that were in there that were hitting on me. I didn't want them to, because they were old enough to be my parents, and that just creeped me out. And I was probably one of the few women that was in that facility. And the second day, I actually said, I could have called my dad and said, well, actually, Dad said, you're on your own. You got yourself into this, and you should have called me. And I thought, yeah, I should have called you. I know better now to call him and talk to him before something like this sets on me. That nothing like this has happened for a good long time. But looking back on that, I think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I thought, I've lived that, except not in that detail. I talked to the psychiatrist after the one night that I spent in there. I didn't sleep at all. That it was not that bad, but is not a place for completely well-minded people to be in. It was just boring. You talk about mundane. You talk about ennui. You think, oh my God, my head. It's so boring here. I need something to do. I want my actual books to read. I want good books to read. I want good television to watch. This is ridiculous. So I talked to the psychiatrist, and I told him I was wrong, and he gave me a clean bill of health, and zoop, Dad took me home, and that was the end of that. So I never had that happen ever again. That was my confession. Don't think of me wrongly. Hopefully none of you out there think I'm insane, because I'm not. I am very rational. Well-rounded individual, and yeah, there might be a few things that are a little bit zany that come out of my mouth, and some things I do are kind of spontaneous, but for the most part, I am pretty well normal is operative, but anywho, you know what I mean. You know where I'm getting at. I don't tell you anything. But that's about all I have to say about that. But that is what this book reminded me of, and I'm glad I didn't go through with it. The closest I actually came to even considering suicide again was, when was it? The 11th of February. But fortunately I did not go through with that. So it was, let's see, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 13 years since I've been suicidal. That's not bad, actually. Hopefully I won't go through that ever again. I don't like going down that deep, dark, dismal hole of despair. It's not a pretty place to be. Nobody wants to go there. You don't want to see that. But I'm happy I'm out of it. Ever again.